Brains. Brains. Num 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 num. I recently went and checked out Ant-Man at the cinema, and I thought I'd do a little quick video about what I thought of it, because it is a peculiar movie in terms of Marvel's cinematic universe. It's been downplayed by a lot of people. I think one of the main reasons for that is that the initial trailer was pretty generic. It was quite flat. There wasn't much to really get you excited for this new superhero film. The later trailers were better, and they actually spoiled one of the best jokes in the film, which involves a Thomas the Tank Engine toy, which was a shame that they ruined that joke in the trailers. There's a terrible tendency right now where they're showing you far too much when they're promoting these films, especially when they're promoting some of them like a year in advance. With Ant-Man that wasn't really the case, because the film has seen a number of production troubles, most notably Edgar Wright of Shaun of the Dead and Spaced fame. He was the director. He was behind the project for a long time, involved I think in trying to get an Ant-Man film made for years, and he parted company with Marvel I think literally a few weeks before they were going to start shooting. They had to bring in people to do rewrites of the script, because Joe Cornish had written the original script, and I think Paul Rudd himself and Adam McKay of Anchorman fame, I think they worked on the script. And Peyton Reed came in, who directed Yes Man and a couple of other films that I haven't seen, but he's not really someone who's been on the radar, so it was a sort of strange appointment in some ways by Marvel. And I think I've read some of the early reviews, and some of the early reviews were quite stinging actually about Peyton Reed and about the film, and I think that was actually just misplaced loyalty towards Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright is a fantastic director, has done a lot of really great things, but Peyton Reed actually pulls the film off largely, if you excuse the innuendo. That's a terrible joke. So Ant-Man follows Scott Lang, who is a criminal. He's just came out of prison for committing some sort of heist, and he's down in his luck. He's estranged from his daughter and he wants to get back into her life, so he's decided that he's going to go down the straight and narrow. Unfortunately, he can't get a job and things are made very difficult for him because of his criminal record. So eventually he decides to take on a job with a bunch of fellow criminals that he knows to go on this heist. And when he goes in the heist, he finds a strange suit which miniaturises whoever wears it so that they are as small as an ant. And that's really where the film kicks in properly. We find that Scott Lang's really been kind of led into this situation, manipulated into this situation, and he's quite Paul Rudd plays him as a really quite a sort of sentimental character, an endearing character. It's a little bit different from a lot of what Paul Rudd's done before, but there's still a lot of comedy in this film, so he's in safe waters in terms of that. And obviously as a screenwriter on the film, I'm sure he probably wrote himself some of those jokes, but some of the jokes in the film are actually quite good. So anyway, at the same time where Scott Lang has stolen this Ant-Man suit, there is another suit which is being worked on by this company which is hoping to develop a similar technology to the Ant-Man suit, and unfortunately that technology is then going to be sold to Hydra and other dangerous criminals around the world, and could end up with some sort of totalitarian regime, because with the power of these suits you could send small miniaturized fighters into the war zone and they could completely overwhelm everything they come up against. So eventually Scott Lang gets roped into trying to use the Ant-Man suit to stop this other suit from being made, and destroying all the records of it and stealing the suit as well so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. So essentially it is a heist movie. What I was a little bit disappointed in was the fact that the first half of the film, it just didn't jar for me. I enjoyed the second half much more. I think some of the action scenes were very good. They actually really achieved some great effects in this film, which is surprising because I think the budget for the film is a lot smaller than other Marvel films, so it's one of the smallest films they've done, no pun intended. And you would then think that it would maybe suffer, especially in the action scenes would suffer, but it didn't really. It was quite unique actually in a lot of ways because of the miniaturizing idea. You get to see the world much like you did in films like Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, Fantastic Voyage, things like that. Inner Space, which is one of my favourites from the 30s. I wasn't alive in the 30s, from the 1980s, and it reminded me of that film actually. It had quite a lot of the same, a sort of light tone, the same as Inner Space, although Inner Space is much quirkier, but definitely check that out. So anyway, the performances are good. Paul Rudd does a good job as Ant-Man. There's a really funny part, and I think one of my favourite parts in the film is when he comes up against as a cameo from somewhere else in the MCU, and he's obviously in awe of this person but has to actually fight them, and he's apologising all the time while he's beating this, well, I don't want to ruin it, but it's one of the Avengers. And Paul Rudd's sort of voice in that scene's really funny as he's apologising. He plays the heartwarming stuff quite well as well. Michael Douglas is in this, as is Evangeline Lilly. They do well. My problem with the film is that it's not amazing. I see it's got quite a high ranking on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment. I think it's just for me that the film worked and no more really. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't amazing, and I think in some ways I was expecting something that was as quirky as Guardians of the Galaxy, and we didn't really get something like that. A lot of people are talking about Edgar Wright and how, oh, you can see parts of it, maybe his film, maybe it would have been quirky, maybe it would have been more unique if Edgar Wright directed it, but I think that does Peyton Reed quite a disservice because he manages to pull everything together, and when you think of the small amount of time that he had to actually do that, it's a pretty big achievement. And I enjoyed it. It was good fun. It was nice to see a Marvel film that wasn't all about a possible apocalyptic scenario. It was nice to see things toned down and brought back down a little bit, and in many ways I think my favourite thing about the film was that it felt to me like a kind of superhero film from the late 80s and early 90s. It had that sort of tone, and I think very much this to me is really the first Marvel film that feels mostly for kids. I mean, there's a few bits in it that maybe you think maybe aren't entirely appropriate for younger children, but it feels like it's marketed towards children to a greater extent. It's got the whole idea of the father figure that you look at. You know, everyone, when you're a child, you sort of look to your parents as heroes, and I think this line, I think it's used twice in the film, is Scott, go and be the hero that your daughter already believes you are, or something to that effect. And who wouldn't want their dad or mum to be some sort of miniaturising superhero? It would be awesome. So it's good fun. It's definitely worth a watch. It's not one of the best Marvel films. It's certainly not one of the worst either. I think it's much, much better than The Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2. It's much better than those films. It's good fun. It's not amazing, but it ties into some of the stuff that's happening in the Marvel Universe, and that's good, but it's not weighed down by it, which I felt Age of Ultron really was badly. It was really creaking under the weight of the entire Marvel Universe, whereas Ant-Man's a bit of fun, and it doesn't feel, although it ties into it, doesn't feel like it's really struggling with all of that. And I think Marvel have to be really careful now, because after Age of Ultron they could lose it, I think, by trying to balance having a single story and also having this overarching theme. So they have to be very careful how they lace it through the other films. I think Civil War probably be okay because it's a central Marvel story, but a story like this wasn't, so they didn't need to bring too much in. There was no mention of Thanos or anything like that. I did like the nod to the quantum realm, and the fact that they use the word realm definitely makes you think that when they do Doctor Strange, that when they make that film, they're going to bring in a scientific explanation of what Doctor Strange can do in the quantum realm. I guarantee that's going to be it. They've got the sort of galactic, they've got the space element now. I think they're going to have this quantum realm that's going to bring in more metaphysical ideas, and Ant-Man gives you a little segue into that. Interestingly, myself and Callum from Ghastly Tales, when we were watching this, we both thought we saw Doctor Strange, like a silhouette of him, in the corner of the screen when he was miniaturizing at one point. So I don't know, I haven't heard anyone else say that, so maybe we imagined it, but it would have been nice to think that Doctor Strange was kind of around somewhere for some reason. And there's some stuff setting up for Civil War which I'm really looking forward to, because I thought Winter Soldier was excellent. So anyway, I'm getting off track, but Ant-Man was definitely worth a watch. Not amazing, but decent, fun, and it's probably one of the, I think maybe one of the last Marvel films that you could really enjoy with your kids, because I think the later ones are going to be, we've got Ragnarok coming up, Civil War and all that entails, and we've obviously got the Infinity War. I think characters are going to start dying, being killed off. I think it's going to get grimmer, although Marvel have already said they'll always try and keep a sort of comedy element in there, but I think this is a nice one for younger viewers to get into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's all I wanted to say. Go and check out the Facebook page down below and let me know, what did you think of Ant-Man? Was it an enjoyable film, or was it a big disappointment? See what I did that? A big, small, big, never mind. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Brains. Nom 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 nom. I recently went and checked out Ant-Man at the cinema, and I thought I'd do a little quick video about what I thought of it, because it is a peculiar movie in terms of Marvel promoting these films, especially when they're promoting some of them like a year in advance. With Ant-Man that wasn't really the case, because the film has seen a number of production troubles, most notably Edgar Wright of Shaun of the Dead and Marvel's Cinematic Universe. It's been downplayed by a lot of people. I think one of the main reasons for that is that the initial trailer was pretty generic. It was quite flat. There wasn't much to really get you excited for this newest fame. He was the director. He was behind the project for a long time, involved I think in trying to get an Ant-Man film made for years, and he parted company with Marvel, I think literally a few weeks before they were going to start shooting. They had to bring in people to do rewrites of the script. Superhero film. The later trailers were better, and they actually spoiled one of the best jokes in the film, which involves a Thomas the Tank Engine toy, which was a shame that they ruined that joke in the trailers. There's a terrible tendency right now where they're showing you far too much when they